Leg on the stand, not leg on my phone. Cut out his motherfucking tongue, he told me. Little trick, good like these.
Alright, y'all, what's good, y'all? We back at it with another video today. I know it's been a little bit more of a wait than I usually do to drop a video, but I do apologize. I've been a little bit busy, you know, with school and stuff like that, but you know, I'm gonna definitely stay on my grind. So as long as I can get one video out a week for y'all, then I'll be happy. But with that being said, today's video, I'm hopefully going to be sharing with you guys my thoughts on how to find your own personal style in 2021 or in present day, however you want to see it. Now, before we continue, I do want to say that I'm going to break this video up into like 5 parts. So I have 5 steps that I think are a good foundation for you to find your own style. And keep in mind that this style that I'm trying to help you guys find is a permanent style, meaning that it's not a style that's gonna be like a trendy style that comes and goes, which leads you to like spend money on trendy stuff that eventually just dies out, which you don't want. I want you to make sure that you have your own personal style that you fuck with personally and that nobody would take away from you, hype or not. So like I said, in my personal opinion, I feel like there's like 5 essential key steps that could really help you find your wardrobe as soon as possible, or help you find your style as soon as possible and in the easiest way. But before I continue, if you are new here and you enjoy the video, hit that like button because it definitely helps my channel out a lot. It'll push it more on the platform. So if you fuck with the boy, subscribe too. That'll definitely help out a lot. But with that being said, let's get right to it. Now for step number 1, I feel like is a step that sometimes gets overlooked by a lot of people. A lot of people tend to like skip over this and like not really think how important of a step this can be. And basically I'm talking about knowing your proportions, meaning that you want to make sure that you know exactly how something is going to fit on your body and if it's going to look right depending on what type of fit you're trying to assemble. So let's say if someday I'm trying to wear, keep in mind this is just an example, let's say one day I'm trying to wear baggy pants, right? Well, basically my thought process would be that if I'm gonna try to wear baggy pants that one day, the basis that I'm starting with, if I'm starting with baggy pants, kind of want to, you know, spice it up a little bit and maybe get like a cropped tee or a cropped sweater to throw on top. And you can even take that to a next level because you can also add, and you can add a tee under that to add a little bit of layering to your fit. Keep in mind that is an example. Like you could also reverse that and do that on your top. You could do a bigger jacket if your bottom portion is a little bit slimmer, so the outfit just looks like it flows correctly. I feel like a lot of people tend to ignore that step. That's why it leads to like your fits or just your, you know, your style just not looking at its best, in my opinion. And don't take this the wrong way, you know, if you like dressing that way, there's nothing wrong with that. We all have our own styles. So I'm just kind of expressing my opinions and hopefully that helps you out. So for step number 2, I want you guys to basically analyze what colors or what type of clothing you gravitate towards more, and basically base off your foundation off of that. So whatever you tend to like and appeals to you, that's most likely what lane you're gonna stay into. Now don't get me wrong, I definitely think it's good to not stay in one lane, but if you're starting out, I think it's definitely good to see what personally catches your eye. So this could just be like simply just wearing a lot of black. If you wear a lot of black, then you're most likely going to be into a lot of like, you know, CDG, undercover, stuff like that. Or you could even search around, you know, you could search around social media and see what other people are wearing. Now keep in mind, it's definitely not good to copy other people's style. You know, it's definitely nice to be original and have your own aesthetic, but it doesn't hurt, you know, look at other people and see how they would put something together, or see what colors they're wearing more often. Who knows, maybe you get some inspiration for yourself as well. Now I know I'm going a little bit quick, but trust me, these points do get a little bit lengthier at the end. And for number 3, you know, I like to think that this is a very obvious point, but I recommend going outside of your comfort zone, meaning that I definitely think it's nice, you know, once in a while, once you already have a good platform to base your wardrobe off, or you know what you like to wear most often and you've already been in that routine of dressing or just, you know, having that same style for a little, I definitely think it's good to, you know, go out and get out of your comfort zone and try out new things. You never know what would appeal to you unless you try it. I definitely think that it's very, very, very important for you guys to, you know, just try out different things. Like I said in tip number 2, you could get inspired from other people. Maybe they dress a certain way, more avant-garde, and maybe, you know, maybe some things like that can influence you, and maybe you find another like branch in your own wardrobe. Honestly, this is my favorite step because seeing what other people wear or seeing how other people, you know, carry themselves in the fashion world or how they put stuff together is very fun. I personally am a person that likes to see how other people dress, how they put stuff together, and sometimes, you know, sometimes that sticks with me, and you know, it influences me to want to try new things and get out of my comfort zone. Now for step number 4, I recommend that you slowly start to dabble into archive clothing or vintage. A lot of these brands slash high fashion brands, they tend to go back and look at archive pieces from designers and see how that could influence their own designs. If you apply that same method to yourself, then you could also find the best pieces and the most unique pieces for yourself that a lot of people won't have. One of the most beautiful things about vintage and archive clothing, mostly vintage, but with vintage, the chances of another person finding the same piece that you have are very slim. Though with archive, there's only a slight increase of the probability of somebody else also having that same piece. Now, don't get me wrong, archive clothing can get a little bit expensive, but if you know how to look and search through different places, you could definitely find some steals. I'll make another video on that later on if you guys wanted to see that. I'll recommend a few spots slash places that I think you can find some deals for archive. Vintage is pretty easy. You just, you know, go to your thrift stores, Goodwills, you know, they have bins you can sort through. Some of my favorite, you guys know that I'm a little bit addicted. Some of my favorite time periods for fashion are like the 80s, the 90s, early 2000s. Those are definitely my top 3. The clothing that was being produced during those decades were very nice and very unique, and a lot of people, like I mentioned, a lot of people still to this day go back and reference a lot of the clothing that was made during those time periods. Now lastly, for the last and final step, it isn't one of the most important steps, which is why I left it till the end, but I do think that gaining a little bit of influence from your friends or having friends that are also into some of the same things that you are into, they could also influence you and give you some inspiration. For example, for me, I have a pretty close group of friends. You guys have only seen one of them, which is Josh, but besides that, there are 2 other people like in my friend group, Sebastian and Anthony. They are my close friends, and we all for the most part are into the same things, but we all have our own individual style. And a lot of us, you know, get a lot of, you know, things from each other. And honestly, that's like the best thing about fashion, that you could really seek inspiration from anywhere. You could get inspired from the smallest things. And honestly, this is like a little like add on to the list, but I definitely recommend to not follow any trends, because a lot of these trends tend to come and go. Like, we've seen this throughout the years. Off the top of my head, you know, we have the Balenciaga Triple S's. Those were a trend. Track runners from Balenciaga too. Off-white used to be a big trend with people wearing, like, you know, the basic off-white t-shirts with the X on the back. You know, a lot. There's a whole bunch of other examples that I can name, but off the top of my head, those are just a few. If you looked now to present day, a lot of that stuff calmed down. There isn't a lot of people wearing that type of stuff anymore, and a lot of people that bought into that, honestly, they regret it because they lost a lot of money, because, you know, it isn't a smart thing to do. Like, for one, you lose money, and you're just buying into something that you don't really like. You're buying more into other people's attention rather than what you truly care about. So definitely be original, be yourself, and hopefully these tips helped you find your own personal style. It doesn't matter if you wear the most expensive clothing or if you wear the cheapest clothing. You know, you can still make some hard fits no matter what. I've made some videos on higher end clothing and affordable clothing, so if you want to check those out, link those down below. With that being said, those are my personal steps that I believe could help you find your own personal style slash, you know, permanent style. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, you know, be sure to hit that like button, because it definitely helps me out a lot. Like I said, it'll push me more on YouTube, and that's definitely what I need. You know, I'm definitely trying to grow. I do this as a passion, and I definitely appreciate all you guys that like my videos and, you know, hit the subscribe button, because it definitely helps me out a lot. Like I said, hit that subscribe button if you're new here. With that being said, I'll see you guys soon. Peace.